Okay, welcome to the Pickup Korea podcast. And today I wanted to present a handful of rules that you can follow and look to in order to improve your game, improve your dating life here in Korea in 2022, post-COVID life, right? So there's definitely a handful of rules that help me to get better, but also I wanted to add a little bit of advice and guidance for those who are just coming to Korea or maybe just starting out now as things change over time, right? So I compiled a little list about things that you can think about, work on, and sort of assess to see where your progress is or maybe an area that you can sharpen up, right? And so the first one is you have to hold yourself accountable. So really, that's the major difference between people who get good and people who don't. The people who don't, they really don't hold themselves accountable. So I was talking to a client maybe a month or two ago, and I gave him a mission which was to do 20 approaches. It can be 20 at a bar, 20 on the street, 20 throughout the course of your day. And he would do like 1 or 2 or 3 or 0 and then just go home, right? And so what you really have to do is hold yourself accountable to little missions and goals you set, right, in order to progress. It's the same thing with anything, same thing with the gym. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week and you show up 1 time a week, you're not holding yourself accountable. You're not being responsible. You're not following your commitments, right? And so what I would do back in the day was say I set a goal, I'm going to approach 15 girls in the street or wherever, going out at night, and that's my goal. And so I would not allow myself to go home and sleep in a comfortable bed, rewarding myself with a nice dinner because I didn't fulfill my mission. You could do the same thing with the gym, right? I have to go to the gym in order to eat lunch or dinner or something like that. Or if I don't go to the gym and do 1 hour or 2 hours, then I can't go home. So you make sort of an ultimatum. I'm going to sleep on the street or follow my commitments, right? So holding yourself accountable is very, very, very important, right? And number 2, second rule, is to ultimately you really want to cultivate abundance. You want to focus on an abundance mentality. The reason is most guys who start out in dating are coming from a scarcity mindset, right? So it's like, why are they working on this area? Why do they need to improve? It's because they have a sense in their mind of scarcity and obviously probably don't have many options of people to meet, right? However, pretty much anybody who's needy comes off needy, whether that is on the approach, can you please give me your phone number, or, oh, please just stay 1 more minute, or, you're begging them for a date, or like you're texting them and it's like, when works for you? When are you free? I'm always free. You look like you have no options. You look like you're in scarcity. You look like you're desperate for a date. That pretty much is like kryptonite for girls, right? Because if you're somebody who's fun to be around, a cool guy, then why are you so needy? Why do why are you always free? Why are you so pushy and needy? It's just ultimately kryptonite. It ultimately repels women. So you need to cultivate a mindset. Even if you don't have a lot of options initially, you need to come from the place that, well, I can walk outside, I can talk to new people, I can get new phone numbers, I can set up new dates. So there's always a sense of, there's always a sense of, it's not like you're ever going to run out. If you're here in Korea, there's 50 million people. You literally will never run out of people to approach or go on a date with. So there's no need to, no need to act like you're in a a town of like 5 people. And if you get all their numbers and, run the dates and don't get a girlfriend, then you're out of options. It's totally not the case. So you really need to come from this abundance mindset, right? And so, yeah, you cultivate that really by just reminding yourself, there's always plenty of fish in the sea. Just walk around, appreciate how many beautiful, attractive girls there are. But also you need to match that with action too, right? So if you go out and you approach, say, all day on a Monday after work or whatever, and you come home, let's say, with 5 numbers, oh, cool, you feel a sense of abundance. You have some phone numbers to text, right? And that carries over into Tuesday. Maybe you go out again. And so you have, let us say another 5 numbers. Now you have 10 numbers. You have people that you're texting and possibly setting up dates with. So now when you go out on, say you skip Wednesday, say you go out on Thursday, then you still have, you have a sense of, okay, I got a date Friday. I set a date for Friday. You're not coming from nothing. You're not coming from zero options. You already have options on your phone, which you're already meeting some of them, planning out some of them. And so when you're in the interactions, you feel even more, you feel even maybe perhaps even more picky, even more coming from a place of, okay, we'll see if she fits in my schedule rather than the other way around, right? So this is very, very, very crucial, okay? Another thing is approach more, approach everywhere, all right? So a lot of guys, and this is fine initially, I would say. This is actually pretty fine initially. A lot of guys, they'll only approach in cafes, for example, or only approach in like a foreign hunter bar or something like that, or only approach at a nightclub drunk, right? So that's actually, that can work. That can be, you can really get away with being a specialist, actually, in some ways. However, initially, what I would say is, you really want to, in order to improve this area of your life, in order to improve your dating life, your communication skills, your dating success, your mindsets, behaviors, etc., you really need to approach pretty much everywhere. You're on the way to a coffee shop, approach one in the coffee shop, approach one on the way to the coffee shop, approach one on the way to the gym, approach one on the way to a bar or a club, right? So you ultimately, you don't really want to get stuck in this sort of like, I can only do it, I'm Bruce Wayne by day, Batman by night or something, right? Like you can't talk to anybody during the day, but then you get drunk and you do it at night, or vice versa. Maybe you can only approach girls in, Starbucks, but you're scared of the street, scared of a shop, scared of a bar. It is good to ultimately give yourself exposure to a little bit of everything. That way you have more confidence in all atmospheres. You have a bigger funnel, you have more leads, and you can work them out. You create more abundance, which is what we were talking about earlier, right? And so that being said, a little caveat, like I said, a lot of people after doing this, after approaching a lot, they might become more of a specialist in one, right? They might be more of a day game guy, more of a street approach guy. They might be more of a lounge bar guy or whatever, right? And maybe, maybe during the course of their day here and there, they'll approach, or maybe they'll do day game, but then every now and then, once a month, once every couple of weeks, go out to bars and clubs, right? And so when you're starting out, it's important to get a lot of exposure, do a lot of approaches, and ultimately, when you widen your funnel, when you widen your amount of approaches and numbers, that's really how you scale down to more dates, right? How they funnel down to having more dates and more possibility of having a girlfriend that you're really into after meeting a lot of girls, or just casual dating, whatever. That's your call. That's up to your goals, right? All right. So first rule was accountability. Second one was abundance. Third one was increasing your volume of approaches, right? And places that you approach. All right. So another one is here in Korea. Typically speaking, most people are quite, they care about their appearance, right? So a lot of people describe Korea as this kind of superficial country where people only care about appearance and that's all. That's not exactly true. It is a very lookism is very big here. It's a term I've heard recently, lookism, right? So appearance is very important. However, I know plenty of people who are not good looking, short, who have success, right? Or don't have the look. However, that being said, most of these people, they do put a little bit into their appearance. So for example, what I mean by that is, say they are short, they at least dress well with fitting clothes, okay enough fashion, right? And maybe they even do things to improve that. So for example, you can get some garchang, which are like little shoe inserts, I guess it would be called in English. I'm not sure. Shoe inserts, where you can gain like 3-4 centimeters by putting them in your shoes. So, that helps. Yeah, like I said, fitting clothes that look clean, they fit you well. You don't look like a bum, right? So that's a huge issue. So improving your fashion, improving your the pride of presentation to others, right? It could be, could be maybe a bad skin, getting acne care, getting some good skin care. Maybe some BB cream is a good thing that cleans out your complexion, right? So there's many options there in order to improve your appearance, right? And ultimately, sometimes in the first few seconds, if you come off, you might have a good game, you might have good social skills, you might have, you might be a leader, expressive, good at flirting, good at leading, good at empathizing with a girl. However, if you look like a total bum, it still will work out sometimes, to be honest. However, a lot of people will screen you out, right? And so ultimately, you do want to come in with a good first impression, showing that you at least have the baseline of an okay enough appearance in the fact that you're clean, you have clean fitting clothes, and you do care to present yourself in a presentable way, right? So that is a big one. That is a big one. However, that doesn't mean that you should sit around and worry about your appearance all the time and say, if I was this or that, I could be successful. Don't let it become a limiting belief. Don't let it become something that stops you from action. However, do the best you can to make yourself presentable there. Okay? So that was rule number 4. Okay, so another rule that I really recommend is learning a little bit of the language, a little bit of the culture. So if you live here, then of course, investing 30 minutes a day studying the language is going to be a worthwhile investment because, number one, it's 30 minutes. Everybody has 30 minutes, right? Before bed, when you wake up, on the way to work, in your train commute, right? And it's going to massively not only improve your dating life, but it's going to improve your life in general, right? Business, relationships, just general day-to-day affairs, right? And then in terms of dating, having a little bit of Korean language will help you eventually meet girls who don't speak any English and never been abroad, right? And as we all know, a lot of very, very attractive girls here don't speak any English. A lot do as well. Like I said, maybe 10 to 20% do. However, you're casting a wider net by knowing Korean, right? And also, even the ones that speak okay English, right? Or like moderate, intermediate level, it will help to show that you're trying, that you care, a little bit of relatability, a little bit that you respect them, you understand their world a bit, and it is a good addition to your arsenal. However, as mentioned, not needed, it's not necessary, right? It's something that if you live here, it's a good idea, or maybe if you're going to travel here for an extended period of time, even some basics is fine, like learning how to read it, Hangul, which can take a day, or just, maybe even learning like 20, 30, 40 expressions that are like common things you say when you chat with people, right? So that can be very, very useful, okay? All right, another thing that is very, very useful in the modern day in Korea could be cultivating a good Instagram. So I would have not mentioned this or said this 4 years ago, 5 years ago. However, now, is it necessary? No. Do a lot of people not have it and have crazy good success? Yes. However, having an Instagram, if it's a good Instagram, the thing about Instagram, it has to be a good one. So these have to be good, high quality photos, decent photos, either like professional or just well shot. It could be even having good travel photos can be good photos of yourself. And also a good function on there, I'm sure everybody knows, is Instagram stories. And you can kind of share, or they can see if they follow you, kind of cool stuff you're up to. You're at cool trendy cafes, and you're at a cool music festival, you're at the hottest club, you're at whatever, some sort of opening event for a new brand, or whatever you're up to. It's a cool way to share little interesting details about your life. And personally, I really did not want to use Instagram, and still, for the most part, personally, most of the time I get a contact, I go through the KakaoTalk app, the majority of the time. However, here and there, some girls won't exchange KakaoTalk, but they will do Instagram, or they'll be hesitant to talk to you, and they'll ask for your Instagram too. So you can obviously avoid that, but if you have a good one, Instagram can be a good way to kind of for them to kind of see what you're up to, and then they can watch your stories, or sometimes they'll reply to your stories, and then you can set up dates from there. So yeah, if you have a good Instagram, if you learn how to cultivate a good Instagram, it can help. And like I said, it's not necessary. These are just extra tools to your arsenal, right? Okay, so another rule that's very useful for Korea specifically. So this is something I've seen time and time again with the guys who are new to Korea, and they mess this up quite a bit, is they get two, what we call in Korean, nukihae. So this is more of a don't one than a do one right here. So with this one, I see guys text messages, they text very like greasy, oily nukihae. So like, oh, hey, babe, I just want you in my room tonight. Like, I don't know. And like weird innuendos that like, for sure, not a native speaker won't even understand half the time. And if they do understand it, it comes off as creepy. It comes off as weird. It comes off as, like I said, nukihae, which is kind of creepy, oily, weird, right? And so, like trying to be too sexual or overt with these innuendos, sexual jokes, and things like this is ultimately going to shoot you in the foot here in Korea. So you really want to avoid, for the most part, sexual talk in your text messages for the most part. And of course there are exceptions to the rules, right? There are some guys who can get away with this. Sometimes there are some situations where it could work out, either on a date or in texting. However, those same situations would have worked out anyways, right? So just by securing out a date, getting them on a date, and, vibing, flirting a bit, following the basic advice that you can read in the Pick Up Korea ebook on running a date, and then pulling them home will work far more often. Also getting them on a date through text will work far more often than trying to be too sexual in the text messages and on the date. That'll shoot you in the foot more than it'll help you. So this is something that a lot of guys coming from Europe or America constantly do, and they don't realize it's hurting them much more than it's helping them, right? So that's more of a don't rule, as I mentioned. Okay. All right. So another rule I would add for 2022 is really to this year in Korea, all the festivals are opening up, right? Like for about the past 2 to 3 years, Korea, clubs were closed for the most part. Festivals were totally closed. So what I do recommend is looking into the summer EDM festivals. They're really insane. We just had one here 2 weeks ago, the first one in like 3 years. Just hot girls out, and wearing crazy stuff and good vibes. It's like a nightclub mixed with day game. So it's like the best of both worlds, right? And I really recommend to look into events going on like that, festivals. There are parties going on, looking into like the latest bars and clubs that are open. That's always a good thing. So yeah, keeping up to date with like the latest events, the latest trends on festivals and things like this. So really, really recommend. Even if you don't live in Korea and you're visiting, perhaps your trip aligns with one of these events, definitely recommend to go check it out. Definitely. All right, so I think that I went through most of the list. Okay, there is one more thing that I was going to mention. So this is something that foreigners can often feel more than Koreans. It's case by case, but oftentimes if you're a foreigner, you feel like you stick out a bit, you stand out a bit. And so you seem to care a lot what other people think about you. Say you're walking on the street, you want to approach a girl, but those people are watching me. Or whatever situation it is, you feel sort of like in your own head, you feel like people are watching you. In reality, I can tell you this from over 10 years of experience, 90-something% of people are not watching you. They are thinking about something. They're mostly looking at their cell phones, to be honest. And so you really have to overcome this idea that other people are thinking about you, looking at you all the time. It really just is not true. And it's something that really limits you. And as a social experiment, just walk around the street. Most people look like they're thinking about something. They're rushing somewhere. I guarantee you'll notice that most of them are texting, looking at Instagram or whatever. So there's no reason you should have this weird sort of narcissistic attitude that everyone's watching you, because they're not, right? And it really is one of those weasels that will prevent you from approaching. It's an excuse you'll tell yourself. That's why I can't do it. They're all watching me. And so ultimately you need to overcome this mindset. Realize, number one, it's not true. It's not factual. And number two, even if 1 or 2, 3 people are watching you, they're going to walk right by you, or they're not going to watch you for long. And it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, right? And there's ways to reframe this. You can say, oh, well, they wish they could do this, right? That's a mindset I like. Like, I'm doing what they wish they could do. Another mindset, they're cheering me on. They're on my side. They hope it goes well. Another mindset could be, I'm just focusing on the girl. The more you focus on the girl and, her vibe, how she's walking, how she's coming off, you don't have time to focus on anything, these other guys or whatever, right? And so, through basically progressive desensitization, going out and approaching a lot in different atmospheres, you learn to really just stop caring about what other people think, because it really ultimately doesn't matter at the end of the day. Okay? So, it sounds like we got police driving by here. I hear some sirens, all right? So I think I'll leave you off with those rules, and until next time.